Dark Shadows, number 24 of ETR 12767, Air 2267, take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. Sudden illness has come to Collinwood. An illness so strange that doctors cannot diagnose it. The atmosphere is tense and worried in the great house, as the one who is ill lies unmoving, eyes wide, staring fixedly at something no one can see. Frank, come in.
Vicky, what happened? Your message said it was urgent.
It's Mrs. Stoddard. She's worse.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She just lies there, staring blankly, not speaking, not moving.
Is she paralyzed?
It would seem that way, but the doctor doesn't think so.
Then what is it?
He doesn't know. Yesterday she was fine. She was talking and trying to run the house. And then I left her alone just for a little bit when Carolyn went in. There she was in this condition, whatever it is.
What could the cause be?
We don't know.
Well, has she been feeling ill lately?
No. She has been under pressure.
What about?
David. His mother wants to take him away.
Well, I know, but Mrs. Stoddard is a very strong-willed woman. Do you think she'd just give way like this?
No. That's why I think that her illness has something to do with Laura Collins.
How could this illness possibly be related to Laura Collins?
I don't know. It's just a very strong feeling that I have. Let's go in here. We can talk in here. We have a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of things to discuss.
What kind of decisions?
Mrs. Stoddard wanted to see you.
Oh, she did. What about?
She wouldn't say. But that's why I left that urgent message for you.
Yes, I'm afraid I wasn't available.
It's all right, because it wouldn't have made any difference. You couldn't have gotten here in time. Just after I called you, she went into that coma.
Well, Vicky, do you have any idea what was on her mind? Did she seem to have a feeling or a fear of death?
No. She did seem worried about what might happen to her.
Well, maybe she wanted to say something about her will. You know, people in this condition, they often have a change of heart. They want to include someone or cut somebody out of it.
No. I don't think that was it. She seemed to be so much more urgent.
What was she saying?
Well, she was turning over the house to Carolyn, but she was determined not to leave Collinwood, no matter what the doctor wanted.
What does he want?
He wants to get her into a hospital so he can do some more extensive testing than he was able to do here.
Well, why doesn't she go? Does she have some kind of fear of doctors and hospitals?
No, that's not it. She doesn't want to leave this house. You must remember that she hasn't been out of here for 18 years. Something's keeping her here. She won't say what it is. Anyway, she's adamant about not going.
What else did she say?
Well, she asked, no. She told me to keep David away from his mother.
Vicky, you have no right to keep that boy away from his mother. Mrs. Stoddard is not his guardian. She can't authorize you to do anything like that.
But it's for David's sake.
Granted. But the boy's father wants to promote this kind of relationship between the mother and the son. And legally, you don't have a leg to stand on.
I'm not looking at it legally. I'm seeing it from an emotional point of view.
Which means nothing in court.
I don't care about court. Anyway, the things that have happened here wouldn't even stand up in court.
All right, Vicky, all right. I'll admit there are enough things going on with Mrs. Collins to raise a question about David's custody. But not enough to prevent her from seeing him.
No. There are so many unexplainable things. Too many coincidences. Too many unnatural occurrences.
Yeah, there are a lot of unanswered questions, that's true.
Somebody has to answer them.
Who?
I was hoping it would be you.
I only wish I could, but I'm afraid the extrasensory is not my field. I deal in facts, testimony, evidence. And besides, this is not a normal case. There are no absolute values here. What's happened here, you either believe or disbelieve. And even if you disbelieve it, you can't ignore it.
Only somebody could explain what's been happening.
Well, I'm afraid there aren't many who can explain phenomena on extrasensory perception. And this place seems to be full of it. Wait a minute.
What?
There is somebody.
Who?
There's a professor at Dartmouth
Professor?
of parapsychology.
What's that?
Well, that's the study of extrasensory perception and supernatural phenomena.
That sounds a little way out.
But isn't that what's been happening here?
I suppose so.
Dr. Guthrie. Peter Guthrie. And I'd know he'd be interested in this. He's always researching and investigating things like this. I'm going to phone him, ask him to come over. I'd like his opinion.
I hope he can shed some light on the matter.
Well, if there's a genuine supernatural occurrence happening here, Peter Guthrie will explain it.
I won. I told you I could run fast.
You practically flew. Take off your coat.
Okay.
Let's get warm.
Boy, that was a lot of fun.
We used to do that when you were little. Do you remember? I used to let you win. But this time, you really won.
You can run pretty fast. I mean, for a lady.
Well, thank you, sir. I consider that a very great compliment. Shall we get warm by the fire?
Okay.
I can't get used to this cold climate.
It was always warm where you came from, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Temperature was always very pleasant there. Well, feeling better? This is warmer, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Why don't you poke the fire? See if you can get a little more heat out of it.
Can I?
Of course.
Oh, gee, thanks. I'd love to do it, but my father never lets me.
Oh, well, there's an art to it. Something every man should know.
How am I doing?
Very well. Why don't you put another log on?
Can I? Really?
Of course.
Oh, boy. Which one should I take? This one?
Anyone you like. You're in charge of the fire.
I think I will take this one. This one. This one's much better.
Oh, that's going to make a nice blaze. Put it on.
Okay.
Be careful.
I am.
And don't get too close.
I won't. There.
Very good.
Oh, it's starting to burn.
This is going to warm us up, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen to the crackling.
The wonderful sound.
Sounds like guns going off. Oh, boy, look at the sparks going up the chimney.
All the way up into the sky.
Thanks for letting me do that.
You can take care of the fire anytime you want to, David.
Can I?
Yes. Every day, if you like.
Oh, I would.
Well, this'll burn out tonight, but tomorrow morning it'll be all gone. Why don't you come over bright and early and start another one?
Oh, I will. I'll be here real early.
It's a date. And I'll fix a nice breakfast for you.
Oh, boy.
How about pancakes?
Sure. Oh,
And we'll sit and watch the fire all day long.
and I can keep putting logs on it.
I'll have to bring some more from the outside.
No, I don't want you to carry them. Let me carry them.
Are you sure you're strong enough?
Of course I am.
All right, fine. David, I'm glad we're such good friends.
Oh, I was never mad at you, really.
But we're better friends now than ever before, aren't we?
Yes, I like you.
I'm glad. David, I hope you mean that.
Oh, I do. Honest.
I believe you. You know what? I think it'd be fun if you came over and spent the night sometime. Would you like that?
Oh, I would. Oh, we could stay up real late and keep the fire going.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have such a good time together. Everything is going to be wonderful for us, David. David, we must never let anyone come between us.
Who would want to do that?
Well, I don't know. There was someone who might... But that will never happen. No.
David,
Oh, hi, Miss Winters.
when were you at this hour?
Out
Where?
with my mother at her cottage.
Will you come downstairs, please?
Well, I'm going to my room.
You can go to your room later. I want to talk to you now.
Okay.
Come in here. Now, why didn't you tell me where you were going?
I thought I did.
You know you didn't.
Well, I was with my mother, so it's okay.
I want to know where you are all the time.
Well, most of the times, I'll probably be with my mother.
Now, that may be a question, David. You know that your Aunt Elizabeth is very sick and she's going to have to go to a hospital.
Will she be there long?
We don't know.
Oh, boy, I hope not.
I hope not, too.
Will she get better?
David will only know that after the doctor examines her at the hospital. In the meantime, she's left some instructions for us. And I'm sure that you'll want to carry them out.
Sure I do.
Good. Well, one of them has to do with the amount of studying you've been doing.
I knew it would be that.
David, you haven't been doing enough schoolwork. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to start bright and early and get in a good day.
How early?
Right after breakfast.
But, well, I promised my mother that I'd have breakfast with her tomorrow.
David, you're going to have breakfast here or else we'll lose too much time.
But I want to have breakfast with her.
Well, then why don't you ask her to have breakfast with us up here? Tell her to come early.
But she was going to make it for me down there, at the cottage, by herself.
Oh, she can make it up here. I'm sure Mrs. Johnson won't mind.
Yes, but it wouldn't be the same as down there.
David, that's the way it's got to be.
Who says so?
I do.
I don't understand why you have to be so strict all of a sudden.
Because I'm responsible for your education.
Okay, but you don't have to tell me when to eat.
I'm responsible for what you eat, too.
Yes, but my mother's in charge of something, isn't she?
She's in charge of the things that I'm not in charge of.
Well, that's no fair. You're in charge of everything. And there won't be any time for me to be with my mother.
Of course there will.
Well, I promised I'd take care of her fire tomorrow.
You did?
Yes, she let me do it today, and I did a good job of it, so I can do it whenever I want.
She let you tend the fire?
Yes, and tomorrow morning I have to bring logs for her. I'll be busy and working all the time, because my mother likes to sit and look at the fire, and so do I.
David, I wish that you wouldn't do that. It's dangerous.
My mother says I can, and you have nothing to say about it.
We'll see how much I have to say about it.
You're just trying to keep me from seeing my mother.
David! Miss Winters would never do a thing like that. I'm quite sure.
Mother!
David.
Hello, Mrs.
Hello,
Collins.
Vicky. David, you shouldn't say things like that to Miss Winters.
But they're true. She doesn't want me to be with you.
David, I never said anything like that.
I'm sure you didn't. David, I want you to apologize.
But she's trying to give me a lot to do so I won't be able to see you.
That's not true. Is it, Vicky?
No, it isn't.
You see,
Yes, but she said that I couldn't have breakfast with you in the morning.
I didn't quite say that.
well, what did you say?
He's fallen behind in his studies. We've got a lot of catching up to do, and so we need all the time we can get. I suggested that you have breakfast with us, up here.
Well, I had no idea you were falling behind in your work. I'm very surprised.
Well, I'm not that behind. I mean, I could catch up like that.
Well, in that case, I suggest that you do so, and then we'll be able to have our private little breakfasts. I'm sure that day after tomorrow would be all right. Wouldn't it, Vicky?
Well, I don't think he can catch up enough in one day.
Oh. Well, how long would you say?
I'm not sure.
I see. Well, why don't you run along upstairs to bed so that you can get a nice, bright and early start in the morning and get all that studying over with, hmm?
Oh, well, okay.
Good night, darling.
Good night. Good night, Miss Winters.
I'll come up and see you before you go to sleep.
Dream well, dear.
I will.
I didn't realize that I was keeping David from his studies.
I didn't mean to blame you. It's not your fault. But you must understand with Mrs. Stoddard so sick. Well, we have to try and keep things running as smoothly as possible.
Oh, I agree with you completely. You're a very bright and loyal girl.
Thank you.
Did you notice how I backed you up about David's studies?
Yes?
And how willing I was to make adjustments?
Yes, you saved me from quite a scrap with him.
Oh, I'm very glad about that. However, I am a little disappointed in you, Vicky.
Why?
Well, because you were so helpful to me in that very difficult beginning with David. But right now, you're not backing me up. I wonder why. Can you tell me?
I don't know.
Well, what's happened between us? Is it something that I've said or done?
I'm not sure anything has happened between us.
Well, I can tell that something has. I just wonder if Elizabeth Stoddard has anything to do with it.
No.
I would feel terrible if I thought you were really trying to keep me away from David.
Mrs. Collins, whatever I do it for David. Now, you can't ask for more than that.
Oh, yes, I can. David is my son. I represent his past, his future. I think you should recognize this and stand behind me.
I'm doing the best I can.
No, you're not. You're drifting away. Vicky, stay with me. Please, you understand more than anyone else does. You can help me the most.
Of course I want to help you, but I have my responsibilities.
To David or to Mrs. Stoddard?
To both.
Don't you also have them to yourself?
Yes. To make the right decision.
Well then, for your sake, I hope you do so. Because no matter what, I will get David.
A witch who wishes she wasn't a witch uses her witch's wiles to make her marriage wonderful. See Elizabeth Montgomery on Bewitched, in color tonight on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.